We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Not only do these guys give you the best jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thank you for making us part of your day. Ben, I waded my way through the latest Pablo Torre podcast talking about the Kawhi Leonard situation. And he has done a lot. I think this is his, 13th episode or something like that.
He's been doing this for over a year now.
It is
10 months or whatever, longer than that. But.
And I've listened to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And some are more damning than others.
Uh-huh.
His first one that he ever did on this thing, exposing the aspiration and the tree scam, was by far the most damning. Now, he's got some other ones of talking, that have updated where money came from and really focused on aspiration. Covered some of the NBA side of it too. I mean,
right.
It's really good and thorough. But the initial episode breaking this whole story was certainly the most damning. Because, and we'll get to what we discovered today, but because he had the connective tissue to basically make it stick.
Uh-huh.
And he's added more connective tissue since. But he basically could prove the connection between Steve Ballmer, his investment in aspiration, and aspiration then paying Kawhi Leonard for a no-show job.
Correct.
Which is pretty plain and upfront tampering, or not tampering, cap circumvention.
Right.
It's pretty plain. That's why it's caused so much of a ruckus. That didn't leave a whole lot of room for, well, it could have been this.
No, it was basically a smoking gun.
Yeah. It was.
As close as you can get.
Yeah, he had witnesses and he had documentation and had all those sorts of things, and it connected.
Mm-hmm.
The punishment connected, or not the punishment, the crime connected with the evidence. It all came full circle.
Right.
So in this latest installment, it does not do that. And we can talk about the details, and it basically goes that Kawhi has 2 LLCs, Uncle Dennis has an LLC, and his agent, and I'm forgetting the agent's name at the moment, but also have an LLC that apparently have ownership in a Rhode Island Football Club of the USFL.
Mm-hmm.
So the secondary league to Major League Soccer. And they're located in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Who used to be, and this is actually relevant to the story, used to be the home of the Pawtucket Sox, the Paw Sox. But they have since moved.
Of the Red Sox minor league organization.
And Pablo's whole episode is on this deal with this soccer team, and I could explain more of it, and it being shady. And then Kawhi Leonard's part of it and it being shady. It's kind of a 2-part kind of thing, or there's 2 points to it. The Kawhi Leonard thing is the most relevant to us, right? Because was he being paid outside of the NBA salary cap in any way, shape, or form? And Pablo does not connect the tissue there. He does not connect that allegation with the evidence. However, he uncovered enough that it is very fishy.
Right.
So this minor league soccer team, basically, that Kawhi owns part of, this is the fishy part. Nobody knew about it. Nobody talked about it. Nobody advertised the fact that Kawhi Leonard was part of the ownership of this team.
Correct.
That is the fishy part, because when Dwayne Wade became a part owner of the Utah Jazz,
Like bought 1% of the Utah Jazz.
they screamed it from the mountaintops.
He was courtside. He's everywhere you can be. When Ryan Reynolds buys Mint Mobile, the phone company, probably buys 5% of it. He is on every advertisement because he sells. His brand is good for the Mint Mobile brand. Absolutely. When you have a celebrity owner, you advertise them and make them think this is their company. Generally, it is a couple of percentage points or less, but the value they bring is that celebrity.
Serena Williams, I have no idea if she paid for her share of the Dolphins or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I know that Serena Williams owns part of the Dolphins. Correct. That's the point. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, he bought that crappy soccer team in England, put a bunch of, they did a Netflix show or something, right?
Right.
They did a show
bunch of
about
attention to it. Went and sat at some games.
Pump up the value and then sell it.
Right.
So Kawhi Leonard is a celebrity owner of a soccer team that desperately needs juice. And nobody knows about it.
Right.
And in fact, this soccer team took on another investor, Ben, NBA legend, Daniel Tice.
Okay. Most famous for getting jumped over by Vince Carter at the
Was
Olympics
that him?
and dunked on?
Oh, well, yeah,
sure.
probably.
Yeah, I am pretty sure.
And do you know what they did when old Daniel Tice signed on as a part-time owner, Ben?
What was that?
Oh, they sent out a release.
They advertised it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they let everybody know. Guess what, everyone?
Remember the guy who got dunked on by Vince Carter? He's part of this.
And I think he was a Celtic for most of his career, right? And that's kind of the same neighborhood, so he probably has a little cachet in that part of the country. But they told everybody about it.
Yeah.
The great Daniel Tice is a part owner of our soccer team.
By the way, I think it was Frederick Weiss, not Daniel Tice, who got dunked on by Vince Carter.
No, Daniel Tice played more recently.
He did. He played more recently than that. You're right. They might both be German. That might be what I'm convinced. Neither here nor there.
No.
Getting sidetracked.
And in fact, now one thing I liked about this episode is Pablo Torre employed, I guess, or used, or had some assistance from local reporters in Rhode Island. A TV station, TV reporter in Rhode Island who got in front of some of these people and were able to ask questions. And so when he got in front of the owner of the soccer team, they asked, hey, does Kawhi Leonard own part of this? He's and wouldn't say no, right? And he had Pablo had talked to the former president of the soccer team and said, is Kawhi Leonard own part of the team? And he's like, to my knowledge, like waffled, didn't say no. And so the owner of the team, the president of the team, they're all dancing around it, right? And then finally the owner of the team actually admits in a later interview, yeah, Kawhi and his Uncle Dennis are investors, and really not shouting it from the rooftops at all.
Hiding it.
Hiding it. Investigative reporters have to find out that Kawhi Leonard is part of this soccer team.
Right.
So that's the fishy part. But there's no connective. There's no the Clippers bought him this or the Clippers forced the owner to give him points. There's none of that connecting it.
But the weird things are the Rhode Island governor that you mentioned that was the deciding vote on private or publicly funding the arena that they play in showed up at some Clippers games or a Clippers game.
So this part of it,
and was asked about, like, what did you guys talk about? And they're like, we don't know. I can't recall.
So this part of it is kind of funny and does lead to the fishiness. So the owner of the soccer team is some LA guy. He's from Southern California.
Okay.
And he's also a developer. And I mentioned the Paw Sox before. So they moved to Worcester, Massachusetts. The reason that they moved is because they wanted Pawtucket to build them a stadium, and they said no.
Okay.
So they move. Enter this owner from L.A. who comes in, and his sales pitch, Ben, is, we'll build a privately funded stadium. You don't have to fit the bill for our stadium. It will be privately funded.
Okay.
However, However, we want to build affordable housing, and we want to build a district, and we want to build all this infrastructure in this area of town, basically gentrify this area of town that really needs it. And apparently, I know affordable housing is a big issue everywhere, but in Rhode Island, apparently it's like the biggest issue.
Okay.
It's like a big deal.
Right.
So they come in and they say, we'll build all this affordable housing, but we'll take public money to build that
part of it.
Affordable housing and subsidize us that way. But this is going to be amazing. Then, Ben, COVID hits. The project basically runs out of money.
Falls apart.
So the owner then wants to, the construction goes on hold. The owner wants to then use the public money for the soccer stadium. And this is where your friend, the governor, comes in.
Okay.
Because the governor ends up being the deciding vote on whether or not they can use the public funding
public money
to build the soccer stadium, which they do, which has very similar components, by the way, to Steve Ballmer's new stadium. They use like the same companies for the boards and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's where your friend, the governor, comes in. Is that he is the one who basically gets out of the way to use the public funding, which is like $28 million to build this stadium. Now, the governor had taken, and Pablo got his calendar. The governor took a trip to L.A. to meet with people to represent the best interests of the people of Rhode Island, business people that also do business in Rhode Island, and had a personal block in that calendar blocked out, and it says personal time.
Private time.
Time from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m.
Okay.
What do you think he was doing?
What was he doing?
He was going to a Clippers game.
He went to the Clippers game.
He was going to
That's
a
where this
Clippers
comes in.
game. Yes. And at that Clippers game, had really good seats and sat right next to the owner of the soccer club.
Okay.
They went to the game together.
Okay.
And then the TV reporter investigating it asked the governor, who invited you to that game? And the governor goes, I invited myself. That's what he said. He goes, I invited myself, had a really good time, wanted to see the game, and paid for the tickets. He said that a bunch of times, like I paid for the tickets, which is really funny. And so the speculation, of course, is that they greased the governor, and the governor now, they're rewarding the governor for getting them that vote, and now he denies meeting Kawhi Leonard at that game, by the way, and he denies ever even meeting Kawhi Leonard, and says with a joke, he's on my fantasy team though.
So hypothetically,
but that's the political side that is salacious. You know what I mean?
Hypothetically, you're good at this stuff. If there is nefarious behavior here going on between the soccer club, the arena being built, and Kawhi Leonard, and this Southern California guy who's helping get this arena built, who does this benefit? How does this benefit Kawhi? Do we think he got a sweetheart deal for ownership in the building because he has previously asked for ownership of teams?
So that's the timing part of it is really interesting, because in the past, as you just alluded to, when he was thinking about going to the Lakers, he had reportedly asked for points in the franchise, which is a huge no-no.
Can't do it.
And so with Toronto, when they were wooing him, he wanted points in the Maple Leafs, and that was a no-no.
It's not legal yet.
So he has asked for equity in sports teams or whatever, have been part of his asks in the past. So this would not be necessarily a foreign concept to Kawhi Leonard. So the timing of it is interesting, because when this venture first started, Ben, was right when he worked out his latest contract. Do you remember what was notable about his latest contract?
What was it?
Not a max deal.
Right.
Took less than the max deal. So he signs this team-friendly, more affordable contract, and then lo and behold, this partnership is born. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the aspiration thing had come to an end at that point, too. So Kawhi needed to be made whole, and Kawhi was negotiating a new contract, and Kawhi took a team-friendly deal, which, does Kawhi seem to you throughout all of this like a dude who's signing team-friendly deals?
No, Kawhi looks out for Kawhi. Kawhi has always looked out for Kawhi.
So the implication is this was his reward for signing the team-friendly deal. Mm-hmm. But there is no connection. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how far this is going to go because there's no connection that the Clippers were involved in this venture in any way, shape, or form, other than they all know each other, obviously.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Well, and the cherry on top real quick, and then I'll let you go. Take a guess. I'm eager to hear your opinion. Take a guess at how many affordable houses have been built.
How many? 0? 0.
0. The soccer team is playing. The soccer stadium is built.
And they ended up using some public funds to build it.
$28 million at least. Which, by the way, according to the bond, when it's eventually paid off, they'll have paid a total of like $116 million.
Because the interest rate is so high.
Because it's an 8% yield. Yeah. And they have not built an affordable house yet.
Had this been a different player, I might have said, oh, this is all just weird. The COVID stuff happens. I get plans change. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're in an advantageous spot or you make an investment and it pays off for you. Neither here nor there. Or it's just kind of normal shady, as you implied with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, who is on It's Always Sunny, who also owns part of this whatever soccer club is. You buy a cheap team, you pump it up with your imaging, draw some attention to it, you sell it off, and you say, okay, well, that's pump and dump, essentially. You know, it's kind of what a lot of celebrities do with companies. It would be one thing if I thought that's what Kawhi was doing. There's no pump with Kawhi. There's no me building up the value of it and then selling the team because Kawhi owned it. You mentioned this with P. Diddy. I know not necessarily in vogue right now. What was his vodka? Ciroc?
I think so.
Whatever his vodka was.
Yep.
I'm going to buy in. I own 2%, but everyone says, isn't that Puff Daddy's vodka? I'm going to buy it when I see it on the shelf because that's Puff Daddy's vodka and I like the music he made. And he owns nothing and then he sells off his piece of it.
For $1 zillion.
For $1 zillion.
Yeah, right.
There's no pump there from Kawhi. So that's the weird part of it of this feels underhanded. This feels too hidden.
Why would you hide it?
What are you benefiting from? That's the question. And now we are wondering with all of these things, where is Kawhi benefiting from all of these deals? Aspiration. That was obvious. As you mentioned, there was a smoking gun. A no-show job paid for by a guy who owns the team he plays for. You know, or at least Ballmer was pumping money into a dying company, whatever, and said, what are you doing? This is a dying company. And he kept putting in exactly the amount of money that
Kawhi needed. Yeah.
That feels very obvious. So you're right. This is a little more like we're still trying to figure out in this dark room what we're putting our hands on.
There is not a smoking gun.
But because of who it is and the fact that Uncle Dennis also started an LLC to get money into this company or into this building, it's not a great look.
And I can't remember, but I mean, even the soccer team just started. The stadium itself is now worth well north of $100 million. So if Kawhi got a piece of this soccer team, that's the money. That's the reward. All of a sudden, this thing is worth whatever. And if you didn't put in anything.
Right. Or you thought it was going to cost, did we have an original build cost for how much was this going to be? Do we know?
I'd have to look at it. I'm not sure.
Let's say it was $100 million. And you thought it was going to be fully privately funded. And you were going to have to put in whatever. And then suddenly, how much was it? 28 million, 26 million in public funding gets dumped into it. Now it costs a quarter less to be built, and you still have the same ownership. Well, okay, then all of a sudden you're 25% richer. You know,
absolutely.
That's where this does start to feel sketchy to me. And maybe more importantly, when we're talking about the Kawhi stuff of why is this now trickling down into 2027 as opposed to being wrapped up before the season starts or at some point last year, you start to say, well, does Kawhi have deals with 30 different private companies that nobody knew about? And now every single one of those has to be investigated.
They have to pull the thread.
What is going on here? That's what we were talking about last week of these deals are expanding or this investigation may have to expand, this could be why. By the way, Kawhi's not the only person who has probably financial investments. In all, whether it's property, a record company, restaurants.
Oh, all the players do. Kevin Durant owns part of a USL soccer team.
Mark Eaton owned, what was the...
Tuscany,
yeah. Like, people own parts of things. They're rich people. That's what you do with your money when you're rich.
And that's what Kawhi's excuse will be.
Correct. But the league probably has to feel like it has to do its due diligence now, or this law firm does, because what the league can't do is close the case on this and say, we know what happened, and 6 months later, another whistleblower come out and say, oh, wait, no, we were paying him $2 million to do advertising for us, and you've never heard of Kawhi being associated with this company.
In order to bribe people to shut up, you have to find them first.
Correct.
And so I would bet the NBA would have closed the book on this earlier, like now, if they didn't already know that Pablo was pulling on this thread, which they no doubt did, because they called all these people for comment, by the way. Mm-hmm. So the NBA knew that this was going to become public. And I do believe that is related to what we found out last week, that it was going to be extended, right? I do believe that that's related. I believe they would have ended it if there was not another story dangling out there.
Agreed. If there wasn't more, this should be done by now. And would have been done by now.
But yeah, I'm just not convinced the NBA is actually trying to get to the bottom of it.
They want to figure out what's the shallowest hole they can dig.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that.
What's the least amount that we could do to get this thing to go away? Unless, honestly, man, unless the other owners truly have a backbone and are out to punish Steve Ballmer for wrongdoing, which I don't know. Maybe that's... if anybody is talking to Ryan Smith right now, ask him how mad he is at Steve Ballmer.
My guess would be a lot of the owners are trying to protect it.
You think? What would the reason be for that, other than they're intimidated by the wealthiest owner in sports?
I don't think anyone wants anyone looking through their books.
Fine, but this is bad for the Jazz. Salary caps and all of that are good for small markets. You need the Clippers and the Lakers and the big resource teams of the world to be policed for this. Because if they're not, you are at a competitive disadvantage. Ryan Smith should be mad at Steve Ballmer. All the other, you could say have-nots, but the whole league outside of like 3 teams should be really bent out of shape about this, because those rules are designed to protect them.
If everybody's books are clean.
No, you can suspect the worst.
That's conspiracy theory guy of me.
You can suspect the worst.
And I'm not accusing Ryan
want.
Smith of anything. Don't get me wrong at all.
No, I understand what you're saying, but if an honest owner of a small market team, should be really mad at Steve Ballmer,
right? And you're kind of using Ryan Smith as a placeholder because he's our local owner, and as am I of a small market team. Sure. Clay, Bennett, whatever, whoever owns a small market team, if they are running a clean team, which, we should assume that most teams are running clean or all teams are running clean because the NBA did find this, that, yes, ideally, if somebody is breaking the rules, everyone should be mad about it. If they're not, there could be a reason. Maybe they are. Maybe all the teams are mad at Steve Ballmer and want him out. That very well could be possible.
What's truly dumb about it, in my opinion, is Steve didn't need to do any of this.
No.
Legally, you can introduce players to sponsors. Mm-hmm. The Jazz had a run of players doing Bailey's moving and storage stuff. I'm sure somebody in the Jazz office introduced Gordon Hayward to the Bailey's people.
What's the security camera that everyone does locally? Like Taylor Hendricks was doing the funny one while his leg was broken.
Yeah.
About needing help opening his door, and he can just use whatever, the smart speaker or smart camera, whatever it is. And it's just been a run of Jazz players. Like, it's very easy to see that that's a Jazz connection. That this company...
That is legal.
That's legal, right.
But what you can't do is Ryan Smith couldn't give the Bailey's people $10 million and say, I'm washing this through your company to
pay
give
Bailey
to...
$10 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is not... All Ballmer had to do is say, I will line you up with legitimate companies, and then you have to put in the work.
Correct. But that's not what happened.
But that's not what
Because
happened.
he never put in the work.
He washed his own money through a company to give to Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi did nothing. It's such a stupid rule to break.
Correct.
You can use it in your pitch to Kawhi Leonard. Come to LA. Do you know how many companies are in LA? Do you know how many introductions I can make in the tech world? Or all of that is fine.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't directly pay a player through another company. He didn't even have to do that.
It is funny that this is exactly why college sports are so broken right now. Is ideally NIL was supposed to be name, image, and likeness, and it has nothing to do with name, image, and likeness. It's just teams setting up donors or companies or whatever to give the players the money that they don't want to spend of their $20 million allotment that they can spend for no-show jobs.
Right.
Whatever you want to call it. It can't be called pay for play, but what is the actual value that any of these guys bring?
Not what they get paid.
Sure. So it's funny that it would happen in the
No, ironically enough, if Kawhi Leonard would have just picked up his phone and sent out an Instagram saying, hey, I love aspiration.
Yeah.
I don't know if none of this would have happened, but you know what?
A lot of it wouldn't.
A lot of it wouldn't.
Yep. Absolutely.
Honestly, if he would have just said, I'm the owner of this soccer team and super excited about it. It's the fishy way in which they're kind of bringing this all on themselves with their own stupidity.
Absolutely.
And laziness, in a way.
Yep, no question.
It's not that hard to film a TalkSnap video.
Yep.
Pretty easy.
Yep.
All right. Stay tuned. We've got Steve Bartle. We're going to talk Utes with Steve next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Just doing it big, you know.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ben, let's talk a little Utah football as camp is right around the corner. Joining the show now, he covers the Utes for KSLSports.com. He's our good buddy, Steve Bartle. Steve, what's going on?
Jake, Ben, how we doing, fellas?
We're doing terrific. Camp very close to starting for the University of Utah. I guess, is it just the main storyline looking at how Morgan Scalley handles this, or is there something else you're watching for?
Oh, there's a few things that we'll be looking at. And I don't know how much practice we're going to be able to actually watch, you know. But I think that's going to be, you know, one of the big talking points is how is this fall camp different than what it's been under Kyle Whittingham? That's going to be a consistent topic that we, you know, go through all next month. But there are going to be other things that I'll be paying attention to next month. And, you know, we put out an episode on the Utah Blockcast today talking about those things. And one of them, you know, a handful of them, you know, who are going to be the freshmen that, you know, create a little bit of buzz, right? We've seen that over the last few years. Some of these freshmen that, you know, not just aren't just mentioned in week one as, you know, in terms of first impression type of things, but who are the guys that continue to get their names mentioned in those second and third weeks? Those tend to be those tend to be the guys that we end up seeing taking the field. J.J. Buchanan was that for Utah last year. And so that will be something worth paying attention to is who are the freshmen that we continue to hear about. And there's a handful of them that I think have an opportunity to, you know, be that guy. Kelvin Obot, the 5-star offensive lineman that Utah brought in from Idaho along with Jordan Gross. He's going to be the one that probably we hear the most about, just kind of given his status as a recruit and the fact that, you know, he came in and really performed pretty well through spring ball. The question is going to be, where is he at physically? Because playing offensive line at the college level, you know, you can throw your star rankings out the window from high school because that first year adjustment to the college level, it's just a different game. So where is he at physically? Where is he at in terms of his assignments and the little things that offensive linemen need to do, communicate, passing off, you know, players and combo blocks and that sort of things, just the little things. Where is he going to be at in those types of things? will be key for him. Then there's a couple other freshmen, LaMarcus Bell, the running back that Utah brought in. So that'll be something. And then too, I think, the big thing will be the offensive line and the defensive line, just updates on the trenches, right? I think that's the biggest concern for Utah fans, and what a lot of people in the market, outside the market, are wondering about Utah this year is having to replace all five offensive linemen. But then also the other thing is that we haven't talked about this maybe enough is they also have to replace all 4 starting defensive linemen from last year as well. So that's going to be a process. They have guys, they have people that they believe are ready to step up, but there's still a few competitions that have to be sorted out, in both of those groups, and that's going to be a pretty consistent topic we talk about through all next month.
Talking to Devin Dampier down in Dallas, I got the impression that he was excited about the changes that were going to be made to the offense. And he didn't say anything specific. It was just kind of the impression that I got. What do you expect Kevin McGivin's offense to look like, and how different do you expect it to be?
Yeah, I think obviously last year with Dev coming to Utah under Jason Beck and how that offense married so well with what Utah already had in place, right? Jason Beck was bringing a run-heavy offense, and you combine that with the offensive line that Utah had last year, along with the head coach who loves to run the ball as much as Kyle Whittingham loved to do that. Obviously Dev proved to be really efficient, really dynamic in both phases of the game. But with Coach McGivin, he's an offensive coordinator that I'm really fascinated to see what it looks like this year offensively, because when you look at his history and his track record, he tends to lean more towards the throw game. And he had an interesting comment, in an interview recently where he talked about offensive balance. He doesn't view balance as 50% run, 50% pass. I think it was Mike Leach years ago who said 50% run, 50% pass is 50% stupid when talking about offensive balance. He viewed balance as getting it equally to each player, each skill player on the field. And, maybe that's what McGivin is looking at in terms of offensive balance. But I think this offense, when you're talking about the quarterback position specifically, with McGivin coming here with Braden Pagan from Utah State, the quarterback coach hire that they made in Ryan Gunnarsson, who's had a solid track record as a quarterback developer. I think for Dampier, this is an offense where I think he's going to be able to showcase a little bit more of his game as a passer. And I think that for him is kind of the missing element. How much progress can he make? How much better can he get throwing the ball, to those intermediate areas of the field? Because that is the big question mark with him is the passing game. So for him, I think this offense will allow him, give him those opportunities to push the ball downfield a little bit more than what we saw last year under Jason Beck.
Quinn Snyder's last few years with the Utah Jazz, and really most of his tenure, he was very private. He was not super close to a lot of the writers, some of them certainly, and knew how to use the media in his favor. But he leaves and Will Hardy comes in, and Will Hardy is very close to all the writers quickly and kind of is so young and so new. He kind of doesn't know the privacy game, and it's grown with him a little bit. He's certainly more closed off than he used to. What differences do you expect to see from Morgan Scalley from maybe what Kyle Whittingham had evolved into as a 2-decade-long head coach?
Yeah, I think for Kyle, obviously, just kind of given his tenure and how long he's been at the game, he knows what this is all about. And for Morgan, right, his first year as head coach, he's been really open with us. He invited us up prior to spring ball, and gave us an hour and a half of his time watching film, asking questions. And that was something that we never got to do under Kyle Whittingham. So that was an opportunity that was pretty unique, that sort of, gives you an idea of how maybe different Morgan is going to be operating. He has been really, in terms of the public facing aspect of his job, he's been really engaged with it all. And not just with us, but, in meeting with boosters and potential new supporters of the program as well. He's been very active and willing to put himself out there. So that's what you would expect from a first-year head coach, especially someone still young. I know Morgan's been waiting a while, but he's still young and still has just a ton of energy to do the day-to-day stuff. And he's embraced it all and really kind of embraced that public-facing aspect of his job.
Steve, last year the run defense was not great. It came in at 110th nationally. One spot better than Utah State, one spot worse than Liberty, of all schools. Why do you think they were not great against the run last year? That obviously is not normally what Utah teams do. And do you think it will be better this year?
Yeah, I think there was just a lack of depth that Utah had last year that just got exposed as the season wore on. And, part of that is due to the injuries that, players suffered that just they battled through each and every week. Utah had one defensive tackle in Jonah Lea'ea who was healthy for the majority of the season. Aliki Vamahi and Dallas Vakalahi both suffered injuries pretty early on in the year and just kind of had to battle through them. The only players behind those three guys, those upperclassmen, were true freshmen. And just like I talked about with Kelvin Obot last year, or, a little bit ago, that adjustment, for a high school player going to your first year in college in the trenches, it is a significant adjustment, right? You can be the highest rated player coming out of high school, but it is still an adjustment playing against guys that have been at this level for 2, 3, 4 years, 6, 7 in some cases. So I think Utah just lacked the depth that they needed to finish the year the way that they wanted to. And really it was those final few weeks of the year. They had, a couple games where it still looked like the Utah defense that we've come to expect. You go back to that Colorado game, it just completely suffocated that Colorado Buffalo offense. Now, obviously it's Colorado and they were nothing to tout about too much, but this year, what will be different is they have a young group. All of those freshmen that they had last year now going into their second year. So they get that year of strength and conditioning to be better conditioned to play more snaps and be more competitive at this level. They've also gone into the transfer portal and added a few guys to help solidify that depth, with Lucas Samsula coming here from Wyoming, Jaire Moe coming from San Jose State, and then Jamal Wallace from Tennessee. So going from last year where you had 3 upperclassmen and the rest of those guys were true freshmen to now this year where you're looking at potentially having 3, maybe 4 second-year players combined with the 3 transfers that you've brought in, that depth is going to be much improved. What sort of level they're able to get to will only be determined, as the season wears on. But in terms of just looking at the depth, it's much better on paper than it was last year.
It ended up being such a strange season running the ball. Not that anyone was surprised that Devin Dampier was so electric, but that Bird Ficklin was just unbelievable with the ball in his hands last year. How do you think the team viewed the performance of Wayshawn Parker compared to expectations and now going into his junior season?
Yeah, that's a good question. Wayshawn, it's not talked about a whole lot, but Wayshawn was dealing with just a little nagging injury. It wasn't anything that forced him to miss a lot of time, but just something that ailed him, and, sort of counting his reps and limiting his reps and how much exposure he had to real physicality, I think was really important for Utah early on in the year. So that's why, you saw Nakari Rogers kind of carry the ball a little bit more early on. And then once we got into October and into November, I think that's when we really started to see the Wayshawn Parker that I think a lot of people were excited to see coming into last year. So he met expectations and perhaps even exceeded them for some. This year, it's going to be a little different, obviously, with this offensive line. It's a big change. So he's going to be responsible for creating a little bit more yardage than he was last year, where he had, more opportunities with clear lanes and clearly identifiable holes. He's gonna have to weave through traffic a little bit and navigate that mess, from the backfield probably a little bit more. And I think that is going to be the key for him this season. But I think he's a little bit more equipped physically to handle a bigger workload, and that's going to be really important for him. I think with the threat of Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin in that option game, that's always going to force defenders to honor that threat, and it's always going to give him that split second, cushion. But he's going to have to create a little bit more than what he had to do last year. But I think there's a lot of optimism that he's going to come in and hit the ground running this year.
Year after year, you can set your watch to Utah having a star corner. And Smith Snowden leaves. I have no doubt that somebody else will end up being the star corner in that defense. Who is the biggest or the best candidate for that?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting this year. Utah brings back Scooby Davis, and Scooby had 2 pick sixes last year, both coming in that final month of the year, one against Baylor and the other against Kansas. And I think Utah is banking on him parlaying that into an improved effort this year. He's going into his final year of eligibility, so it's on him to put it all together. I think he's an important piece to all of this. But Utah also went into the transfer portal and brought in a handful of guys to help with the depth and help fill some roles in that secondary, in that cornerback spot specifically. And the guys that I'd pay attention to are James Bobo Chenault and then Elijah Reed. And these are corners with 2 different sort of styles. Chenault is more your prototypical 6 foot, 185, 190 pound athlete. And then Elijah Reed is that corner that we sort of think of when it comes to Utah football: taller, longer, and more physical at the line of scrimmage. Those guys that are they get their paws on you and they just press you on the line of scrimmage. Keith McGill's, Sean Smith, those types of corners. That's going to be an interesting battle, and how that position battle sorts itself out. I think Utah feels really good about the 2 of them. And then what they have on the inside, it's going to be really interesting to see it on the field this year, where Utah in that nickel spot has had Smith Snowden. They had other guys in the past who are, of that 5'9", 5'10" stature. There's going to be a 6'3" defensive back in that nickel position. His name's Rock Caldwell. And I'm just fascinated to see what sort of impact that has, where you've got a nickel corner at 6'3", tall, really long wingspan, and what sort of impact that has on passing lanes. So those are probably the 4 names to pay attention to. And then the guy in the secondary that I think is key to everything because of the versatility that he possesses and the flexibility it creates in that secondary is Jackson Benny. And, he was the guy that broke out last year. He was the buzzword all fall camp last year. Everybody was raving about how Benny looked. He lived up to those expectations throughout the year. There's certainly things that he needs to correct and address from last year. But I think given the offseason that he's had, there's a lot of confidence that he's going to take that next step as a defensive back.
Steve, it's good to see you. Thank you for coming on with us. As always, pal, we enjoy your work.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Bartle.
Yep.
The one and only Steve Bartle. Strong beard today.
Looking good, as always. I saw Steve for the first time after my brain procedure at a company barbecue, and he was very gentle, shaking my hand, and I thought, that was nice of him.
Yeah.
He's not trying to.
He's caring.
He's caring. He's a gentle friend.
Good for Steve.
I said, Steve, you can shake my hand like normal. I'm all right. So.
Fine. But he's nice.
Be okay.
Audio Vault's next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
No crazy soundbite slips past these guys.
I came here for the same reason people go to the zoo.
This is another edition of the Audio Vault with Jake and Ben. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Yeah, we've got Jed Fish up on the monitor here in the studio.
Boy.
Okay, based surely on looks.
Solely on looks.
Solely. Thank you, solely. What should his profession be?
Yeah, that's a good question. He looks like he runs.
He looks like a principal at a school.
See, I was thinking he's trying to fake being a good businessman running a really, really underhanded restaurant outside of Orlando, Florida.
Wow, that's oddly specific. Sales manager.
Yeah, he's a sales manager.
He's got mad
for sure.
sales
He does.
manager
and that's not
vibes.
trying to knock on anybody.
Oh, I like Jedfish.
Yeah, Jedfish is a weird dude, but I'm not sure I have total faith in him.
Well, I don't know. I think he did a good job at Arizona.
He definitely did a good job at Arizona.
I enjoyed. I mean, I thought he was good in the conversations we had with him at Pac-12 Media Day.
You can't see him right now. We can see him. His tie and suit are so off-center, it looks ridiculous.
Yeah, like a sales manager that just ran out of a sales meeting, you know?
Stressed out, restaurant owner who's trying to meet with the Better Business Bureau or whatever, the food handlers department, whatever it's called, and trying to pass the bill, trying to just pass well enough that he can keep his restaurant open. He just has too good of a haircut.
Head coach of the Huskies. All right, Ben.
For now.
Our audio vault today comes courtesy of you.
Yeah, I know. I do not. I will tell you to reveal how the sausage is made. Generally, Jake or Christian does all the work here, and I just react to it. And I appreciate their willingness to do that for me. Today's story or audio clip comes from the world of professional golf, where Charley, a woman,
the LPGA.
the LPGA, played a trick on her caddy.
Oh, okay.
And I want you to tell me whether or not this is acceptable.
Oh, I like
or if
it.
this
Okay.
person should be blasted into the sun.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Actually, talking of money today, I was in the went to a prank shop in Blackpool last night, and I got some scratch cards. So we go into the players' lounge this morning, and I was like, Rads, I got some scratch cards from the shop. He was like, yeah. And this one was like $100,000. And we've got it all on record. He's like scratching it. He's like, oh my gosh, I've won. He's taking his hat off. He's taking his glasses off. He's literally running around the players' lounge saying, I've won $100,000. I'm taking today off. His face looks so happy. He was sweating. He was trembling. He couldn't believe his luck. And then we had to tell him it was fake, and he nearly quit the job. I've got it all on camera, to be fair. I'll try and find it and I'll send it to somebody, but it is just absolutely hilarious. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, this was his reaction when he thought he won £100,000, and it was just hilarious. I think, like, he's like high-fiving everybody. He's so funny.
Do you remember when you talked about how unethical bum fights was? Which is a wealthy person with a camera going and getting unhoused people to fight each other for scraps?
For money. Yeah.
Is that exactly what this person is doing? Not that
No, it's
caddies don't make okay money. Caddies on the LPGA tour probably don't make awesome money.
Well, I don't know how good is Charlie Hull.
I have no idea. I don't know who this person is. But
I think purses in the LPGA are pretty good.
let's see.
Estimated between $150,000 and $300,000 annually
For a
depending on
caddy in the LG
specifically for Charlie Hull's longtime caddy Adam Woodward.
So a year's salary.
Ish, yeah.
You tell them that they won. And it's all fake as a prank. My question, is that funny, or should Charlie Hull be blasted into the sun?
Okay, well, the bum fights thing is super immoral. I don't see your I don't see your connective tissue there.
Somebody
but
with money going to somebody with less money and having them perform basically as a joke.
No, this is the female Lloyd, and she's obviously the worst person alive. Yes, terrible person. And then films it.
Films it as a joke
No.
that she could laugh at the person who makes less money than her.
She's awful, but does she have higher moral high ground than the bum fight guy? Yeah, she sure does.
I don't know if she does.
She sure does. But no, she's a horrible person. I don't like pranks, period. I don't like April Fool's Day.
You don't.
I don't like any of that. I think that she tortured her poor caddy on purpose and then filmed it. Last time, well, I guess the first time I ever had a colonoscopy, I had to specifically tell my wife not to film me.
Don't do the coming out of surgery.
Because I knew she was going to do it. I knew she wanted to do it. And I had to tell her, don't do that. I don't care how funny it is.
Correct.
I don't care how our friends would find it so funny out on the talk snap. Nope. Absolutely not. And here she humiliates her poor caddy and has it on film. So I may show it to people.
And then talked about it at the press conference.
She didn't just
Terrible.
talk about it. She laughed about it.
She laughed about it. She showed the phone, right? She holds it up and be like, I don't know
Look
if
at
you guys
this
can
idiot.
see
He
this.
thought he won $100,000.
But look at my dummy caddy that I tricked into thinking he won a life-changing sum of money. $100,000. I don't care if you make $100,000 a year. It's a ton of money.
It's a ton of money. Yeah, sure.
Well, after taxes, it's only $50,000.
No, terrible person. Just terrible. I will cheer against her for the remainder of her career.
Charley Hull has come out in response to the backlash and says, people that have complaints about it, I would say loosen up. She says, I don't have my social media on my phone in my tournament. On tournament weeks, I delete it when I go home and I turn it off and I don't add it again. I don't really like people seeing me and tagging me in my stuff. I like to keep to stay present in the moment, but I think people need to lighten up if they're taking that too seriously because it was pretty funny. And she said she would 100% participate in a similar scenario again.
This is when she was in elementary school, I guaranteed she was the person who pants the person in front of them in the lunch line.
Mm-hmm.
And then goes, well, lighten up. It was incredibly funny.
It was funny. Everyone laughed.
Everyone laughed.
Everyone laughed. Don't you see how funny that is? We all laughed at you.
Yeah, terrible. Terrible person.
That's what the book and movie Carrie is all about. Laughing at the wrong person.
I haven't seen or read.
So I hope her caddy is Carrie.
Were you a bully in school, Christian?
No. I
Really?
was the one that got picked on. I was the one getting pantsed. I was the one that people would give the fake lottery tickets to.
So if you got pantsed in the lunch line and they said, why don't you lighten up? Your response would be,
You laugh it off and then you go home and cry.
yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Because they're terrible people.
Yep.
That caddy was probably like, good one, Charlie. And then
I
went
work
home
for
and
you. Yeah, what am I not going to laugh at this? What am I going to tell you off? You're my meal ticket.
that dude went home
I
and,
do
and
need
sobbed.
you.
Yeah, that's his employer.
Yeah, you're my
you
boss.
can't complain about it.
I can't get mad at you and lose my job because I'm mad at you.
I can't go to HR when Lloyd's mean to me.
Correct. Right. You will lose your job.
Yep.
Charley Hull, out.
You suck.
Yep.
You suck, Charlie. I might go down to, are they going to do the LPGA event in Southern Utah this year?
Should we go boo her?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe we should go down there and boo her.
Play a trick on
Let's
her.
go light her up.
Yeah.
I don't know about play a trick on her.
We know a guy who likes to pull fire alarms. Maybe wherever she's staying at the hotel, we have old Bully Esparza go pull the fire alarm every night she's sleeping.
Man, terrible person. Awful. Stay tuned. We'll have Live at 5 coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.